the biggest cause of divorce is getting married in the first place. I hear this all the time from older men that I talk to when I talk about marriage and how it went for them. Every single time, the man says, "Don't get married." Every time I've talked to an older guy who's been through marriage, they all say, "Don't get married." You get the occasional guy who says, "Oh, it worked perfectly, love of my life, and I wouldn't have it any other way." But for the most part, they're all just like, "Dude, run. Dude, don't do it." And so you got to question that, and you got to wonder about it, and then you learn things about the laws that are in place in female hypergamy, and how guys have been screwed over with divorce, and a lot of guys get all their assets taken, and you're always on that hamster wheel the second you sign that legal contract. Even a few months ago, I was selling this tie-dye at the San Diego Zoo for this nonprofit, and there's this one guy with his wife and their kid in like a stroller, and he just like he was like 31, and I was talking to him and I was telling him I'm like 26. I got my own place here in San Diego that I'm renting, and I have no girlfriend, no roommates, no wife, no kids. And he's just like, wow, like we were working this independent job, just selling shirts, no girl, no kids. He's like living the dream, man. Like his girl's right there, and she gives him that look, like, and then he's just like, like, what do you want me to say, kind of thing. But then, so she obviously wasn't too happy with the comment, but like just in front of his kid and his girl, he's just like, dude, you're living the dream. And then talking to him more, he's just like, man, I wish I would have thought of that, like kind of jokingly, but like how much was he joking? He just like he gives that kind of like, oh yeah, I wish I would have like thought of this back then, but how much of that is the joke and how much is truth, and it was just kind of funny. So I hear all the time from men, don't get married, don't sign that legal contract, because so much is up in the air with your job and your money, your attraction to that woman. And even still, like once you get married, a lot of guys don't understand this. You need to keep gaming your wife, you need to keep gaming that woman. So it's like guys will get married thinking that they're in some stable monogamous relationship, and because now that she has you, now that she's conquered you, it's just kind of like the guy just he gets complacent with it, and then her hypergamy kicks in, and oh, this other guy looks good too, and then, or she watches a movie and like, oh, this actor looks good, and like the pool guy looks good, the handyman looks good, like the work boyfriend, so like if you're not constantly gaming your wife as if it was the honeymoon phase, that you're just gonna fall behind, because she's gonna always have that hypergamy there. So that's a challenge in itself. You think as a guy that, okay, well, I have a wife, and whether we're gonna have kids and raise this family and be committed, you in your mind you're thinking it should take some of the pressure off. It should take some of the games away, because that's supposed to be the point, right? You're getting married, and it's like, okay, the games are over. We found our lifelong partner. It kind of relaxes a little bit. But because of that, because of you letting your guard down, because of you relaxing, her hypergamy is still there. Even if you have a kid with her, say you get married at 25, you have a kid with her at 30, who's to say that, like, after the kid is born at 32, well, I mean, she's technically back out on the market biologically. Yeah, you had a kid with her, but like that's not like some binding thing that like she's never gonna look at another guy in that way. So the hypergamy is still there. So that still kicks in. Like, yeah, you had a kid with her, but after the kid is born, she goes back to still being like a woman, still being part of biology. So it's like that tendency to still look at other guys is still there. I mean, you'd have to be kind of a fool to think that you're the only guy that your wife is attracted to. And a lot of guys make this mistake, or sometimes too, they get married in the church or something, and they think it's like, oh, well, she's a Christian, therefore nothing's gonna happen. It's like, man, whether you do it in the church or the state, either way, you're signing that legal contract, and that's the leading cause of divorce, is just getting married in the first place. I mean, think of any human being in this entire world that you're going to spend 24/7 with. I mean, that's a long period of time to like assume that nothing is going to have friction in any sort of way. So like, um, you wouldn't like do that with any other human being. Like you wouldn't think it's a good idea to live 24/7 with another human being. Like even your mom or your dad or well, however your family situation was growing up, um, just being around anybody for that period of time, siblings, it's like you, you're gonna be agitated by certain things, right? Just like living with other humans, that's just kind of like what it is, because everyone's different and everyone has their own like agenda and motives and personality and just ways of thinking, ways of doing things. So people just assume that, oh well, like marriage is going to be different. No, it's still a human being that you're cohabitating with. So yeah, it's not to say that like we should have this society where no one ever has kids, no one gets married or anything, but it's like the you can have kids without the marriage. That's what I'm trying to say is like if you really want kids, you can have it without the marriage, without the government, without the law, because it's already difficult enough, like I said, to cohabitate with other human beings, right? So like even if that's if you don't get married to her and that's just your girlfriend and you're just living out of wedlock, that's hard enough. But now you're gonna add this legal contract where there's ramifications if you get divorced and like you're tied to it forever. Like it causes even more drama and frustration, and the guy knows instinctively that he's kind of on that hamster wheel, and so you're kind of at the mercy of other forces. Your job could lay you off, the economy could get bad, and now she's looking at other options. Or even if you think that you have this independent circumstance, like, oh, I own this business. Well, who's to say that anything could happen with your business down the line? Or like, yeah, you own that business and it's independent, or you own a bunch of real estate and you have residual income and that's independent long term. So like, you think that you're this independent guy that's established this alpha frame, but like in her mind there's other guys that also have like alpha frame, or like there's other guys that make her like turned on in a certain way. So like, yeah, you like in your mind, okay, I finally got to this point where I have residual income, I own this business, I have this secure long-term option financially to where I know it's going to be stable. Like that's how you're thinking in your mind. Like I got this residual income, so of course this marriage is going to work because we have all this time together, money's flowing in, and it's great. But who's to say that she's also not attracted to the musician, right? Like you have like all this business and or like this corporation or this residual income, but then like there's the guy that plays guitar, right? There's like the guy that's like maybe a spiritual healer. He's just like the work boyfriend, and like they relate in a certain way when you're not there to see it. Just like, or like the pool guy, the handyman, the grocery store clerk. Like there's just different stuff that comes up because you think you've locked it down in a certain sense. You think that, okay, well I've established my career. I've got to the certain point where I'm a good provider or I'm attractive or whatever, but you're not the only guy in this entire world. Like you're not on a private island with her where there's no boat and she can't escape. Like there's other people. So like you could be like the tallest, best looking, most athletic, biggest muscles, most money, residual money, and there's still something about another guy that she's going to find attractive on some level. So you don't have this like ownership of her. Like you don't own her life, you don't own her soul, you don't own her movements or her thoughts. So whether you have women in your life or not, whether you choose to go, whether you do like casual hookups, you're having a bunch of casual sex, or you're just dating here and there, or you do have long-term relationships with women, signing that legal contract is the thing, because you can still do all this. You can still have your kids, you can still date women, you can still have sex with women, but now you're adding this legal contract where you're binded to something that's basically till death do us part, because how are you going to get out of that as a man? You're not, because she's always going to be tied to the assets, right? And there's no Hey, how you doing, Bart?
Good, how are you?
Good, man.
I forgot, what's your name again?
Mason.
Mason, alright,
Yeah.
Fuck, I remembered right as you said it.
It's all good. Ask me again if you need
For
to.
sure,
I'm bad
yeah.
with names,
I'll
but
remember this time.
for sure.
'Cause I have another friend named Mason down here.
Cool.
For sure, it's good seeing you, man.
Yeah, you too, man. Have a good one. But yeah, so like the assets are something that she can always have once you sign that legal contract. And now you add children into the mix, and so now there's like alimony or child support, and the courts are going to side with the woman for the most part, because it's kind of this philosophy too, where like clearly when a man and woman have issues, like the man did something, like it's like his fault, which a lot of times it is his fault, but it takes two to tango. But that mentality goes into the court system. So now the guy, he's not only he's on the wheel for the woman because of the legal contract, but now with the kids and just everything. So his life is being dictated by a pen and a paper. When you could have done the same things, you could have had those kids, you could have been with that woman without the legal part of it. So that's what I'm talking about when it comes to marriage. Is that how's it going?
Okay, thank you. It's kind of cool here.
Yeah, it is chilly in the shade. Yeah. So when it comes to marriage and just signing that contract, the biggest cause of divorce is getting married in the first place, because life is stressful enough, and now you're adding more stress on this because both parties know that this is this binding contract. But the woman knows also too that that's kind of a security net, right? So like you see a lot of times where you think marriage is the solution to get out of the game, or it's like, okay, I can like I said about the guy like that stops gaming his wife just because they're married, like because it's natural. Like in your mind you're thinking like life is tense, and it's like I'm just like looking for a partner to like be secure with, and that you found that, you as a guy are thinking, okay, we can kind of take the foot off the gas a little bit. But what happens is it's ironic, because you think marriage is gonna help you have more peace of like peace of mind, or just more clarity. But now the legal part of that, it creates more drama. It creates more confusion. It makes things more tense, because there's like this legal aspect where like the government is in your household, the government is in your bed, the government is in like the context of your relationship. So you could have had those kids out of wedlock, you could have been with the girl out of wedlock, you could have lived the same exact life, but now you thinking that that was going to bring more ease, it actually brings more stress, because you know that you're constantly on this wheel. So you guys could have an argument on something that you would have had an argument anyways without the marriage, but now there's a threat of divorce. There's a threat of her leaving, and you're binded to something. So now every argument is more intense. Every thought is more intense. Every movement, every person that she's talking to, every person in each other's life. So you're always like on guard. The ironic part, thinking that you're going to have more ease with it, you actually have more stress.